Hey everybody, it's Liz Ionelli here, also known as Survivor 993. I wanted to make this video, which is very important for me to get my message out even more so than what has already been told on our behalf. First, I would like to thank Mike Wilson, the reporter that ended up landing us on the front of the New York Times. Um, at first, to me, he was just a reporter making an inquiry. And over time, he became very human and he rolled up his sleeves. And instead of scribbling some things down on paper and walking away, he rolled up his sleeves and he leaned into our pain and he took on a dirty job and he didn't look away. The story that has come out focuses most certainly on those who are already gone. And for that, those names will always be very special to us. We have a tree to go to remember them, and we carry them with us everywhere we go every day because I truly believe, as I've always said, you you die first the first time your body leaves this earth. The second time that you die is the last time someone says your name out loud. And that is important to me that we carry that on. It has been an incredible week for me, for all of us, and the outcome has been so unintended and so beautiful that I just wanted to share with you how grateful I am for not only the support, but I'm receiving letters from parents or from former students from my school who are apologizing and finally leaning into our pain instead of pulling away from it. And most often, parents have not always been able to express whether it's their own guilt or confusion or just not being aware of the atrocities and the horror and the trauma and the abuse that we were all subjected to in the middle of the Catskills where we were invisible. This article is just the beginning. We have captured the world's attention. I have been getting calls from Norway and Spain and France and across the country, the East Coast, West Coast, Southern Coast, Northern Coast, um, and all the stories have the same thread. Not every story coming to me is from the family. There are survivors across the country and the world reaching out to me and to our community saying, we see you too. And the common theme is that we were invisible. And because a reporter leaned in and was able to drag us from the darkness into the light, he gave us a silhouette for the world to see. And it can no longer be denied that we exist and that we are here and that we essentially went missing, but no one knew where to look for us. I've been asked a barrage of questions over the last week as to what do I think about this or about this or about that part. And I just want to respond to some of those questions as honestly as I can because it's important that the world hear my side, which is our side, which is our story, which as a collective lends itself to every survivor of the troubled teen industry's story. Many of us have stumbled through life feeling not validated, not believed, that the story that we had to tell was so out there that who would believe us, right? We left believing that we were these troubled teen monsters who our parents didn't want. We were taught to believe that we were nothing, nothing. And all by people who were put in positions of power by making us feel like nothing that clearly made them feel like something. And the irony in all of this is that one would think that those who were the perpetrators of our abuse, that there would be a list to keep of them taking their own lives or stepping out of life or checking out or spiraling out of control after knowing what they had done to children that were placed there by our parents who were the first victims and sold a lemon. Our parents were told that it was as if we were in desperate need of a heart transplant, and that in order to give your child the opportunity to be on the list and be on the top of the heart transplant list, that this was the way and this was the only way. And the family school itself pitted children against parents and fractured families. And as we were there, I remember it was like a ripping in my chest because I had no voice. I had no one to call. No one was coming for me. And I want every single survivor from the family and beyond to know that no one came for us, but we are banding together as a community stronger than ever, that we are now more powerful beyond measure, that we have been heard. We have captivated the world with our story, and the story is about those we have lost. The story now that I have to carry forward is not that only, but about the story of those who are living and for those of us who have struggled and left behind to kind of make our way through life and try and find ways to learn from mistakes that we made that we probably might not have made had we not left believing that we did not deserve fill in the blank. I am watching from afar, but very up close in a very intimate way, families and parents apologizing to their children for a variety of reasons. Grandparents have started to say how sorry that they were either unaware or unable to lean in. Most lean away from painful situations, and no parent, I'm a parent myself, wants to accept that they made a terrible decision with a very poor outcome. And though I may be living, I am still broken. No one walked out of the family fully alive. A part of each of us died there. And essentially that property that has been sold now is essentially a mass grave of sorrow and sadness and torture and abuse, and a blatant misrepresentation of what help would have looked like had we gotten the appropriation that we needed. The family wasn't bringing in staff from Harvard. They weren't bringing in professors with tenure. They were not bringing in expert behavioral specialists. They were bringing in people just as broken as us, and they gave them a drug which was called power. And power is a very addictive thing to have. It is when you are powerful and you are told that if you do this and act this way towards children, if you teach children to hate each other and that equals showing them love, it becomes a very peculiar and dangerous pathology that, like a virus, was embedded in all of us. I want the world to know that we lived in squalor. We did not have the elite boarding school experience. We're often now, I'm being asked the question, well, many of you were troubled anyway, so the outcome is probably very logical. Well, our parents entering into this program signed documents that I have, we all have, that we all know about, that stated they signed off saying that my son or my daughter is not in need of drug or alcohol treatment. That was essentially how the family bypassed certain regulations and certain oversights, and they basically reconstructed themselves into what we would call fake news now. And what they advertised is not what we got. what we got was having having staff, meaning adults, screaming 3 inches from our faces and spitting and telling us what a whore we were because we had been molested, what a lazy piece of shit we were because we were even born. We were sat in corners. We were publicly humiliated. I myself reported a sexual assault to a staff member, and that was reported. I went to that staff member looking for safety and help to call the police, to call my parents that I was being harmed. And instead, the story that was relayed was that I was having a sexual relationship with a staff member, therefore, I was to be punished. And I was. And I was berated and humiliated and victim shamed for coming forward to say, I am a child, I am a vulnerable population, and I am being sexually molested and abused by a staff member. And instead of eradicating that problem, they turned it inward on me, and I left believing that that was my fault. I now know that it was not. But when you're in that moment, there's not much else you can do. I attempted to take my own life because after being berated, after taking a great risk to ask for help and safety of what all children in America should be afforded, I was picked rock bottom and then dropped 5 floors below that. That's where I was when I decided that I was going to plan a vacation in my mind and that I would escape and that my flight was about to take off. And those 2 or 3 days before I made a serious attempt at my life were filled with excitement, as if I was a child about to depart for Disney, that I was going to leave and transport myself to a place anything would have better than that. Many of us ran away in blizzards and heat strokes and traveled a tremendous amount of mile. And every footstep we took, we were willing to flirt with death in order to avoid having to live with the monsters that were caring for us in the most rogue and unchecked and cruel way that I could possibly imagine. We now have the power. The tables have turned. We are no longer invisible. We have a silhouette, and we are now have faces. And to those faces, it's my face, it's your face, it's our story, it's parents coming forward, staff members coming forward. We're banding together in a way now that is so powerful because we are healing. People are controlled when they are not well, when they are sick, when they have nothing to drive them to come together in such a cohesive way that we're able to start a movement, which we have. We cannot remain invisible any longer. We landed not just the front page of the New York Times, but we are landing in positions with our parents and our families, and bonds are being repaired, and families are finding each other and connecting and acknowledging that they now know why we were so misunderstood while we were there and after we left. And parents are granting, and in some cases begging, for forgiveness because they did not know. To those parents, bravery looks so beautiful on you, but I want you to know that we see you and we understand for that a majority of you, you were the first victims of the family. They needed you to believe that you were putting your child at the top of the list for this heart transplant, that we were going to get the best heart ever, and that they would return us healthy and well and reformed. This wasn't a rehab. This was a therapeutic boarding school that was going to instill values and morals. And what they did was they radicalized religion in a very dangerous way. They robbed us at gunpoint of our ability to have any sense of self, any sense of worth, They negligently killed our spirit, and they left us in a space where we entered the world unprepared for what would come. This month, September 28th, 1994, I was taken out of my life. There was a desk at that school next day that was empty, and I was gone for 993 days. We're all missing, but no one ended up on a milk carton. No one even knew where to look for us. No one even knew we were gone. No one knew the pain that we endured. I can still remember sleeping in these trailers, these tin cans, and the door would be locked from the inside, and we would all, girls, 20, 22 deep in a trailer, be laying frozen in our bunks, and you could smell the fear among us. It was palpable. You could feel the pain, the longing for safety. You could feel the anxiety about what will happen to me tomorrow. You could sense the air didn't move. There was no air. There was nothing. We were laying essentially in our own coffins night after night after night, and we were just walking hollow children, which everything good about us had been extracted and thrown away, and we were injected with a virus of self-hate. We were put in a culture of violence, and we were rewarded for treating each other negatively and so hatefully, and in such a way that of such cruelty that I still struggle with the guilt that I carry for the way that I conducted myself, and we've all, I think, experienced that. And it's a hard thing to work through. Another point I'd like to make is that I keep hearing, well, my experience wasn't so bad, or I didn't have it as bad as you guys did, or we had it worse, or we had it better. And all I can say to this is this. You can drown in 20 feet of water, and you could also drown in 2 inches of water. The family was very invested in making sure that we could not come up from air. We were worth nothing to them if we were well, but we were very lucrative and very financially worth more money than I could possibly share to them. There were dollar signs on our heads, and they played our parents to make the payments, and they played us to remain sick, and it was a simple way that they were able to financially gain and profit off of our pain. We were children. Yes. Were some of us troubled before we got there? Absolutely. Why would we have been there in the first place? But was it to the degree that the world might see us, that we're all troubled, derelicts, rapists, murderers, full-on drug addicts, homeless, stealing, bank robbing, thieves? No. We were teenagers that needed to be loved. We were not simply problems that needed to be solved. That the problems that were being pointed out to our parents by professionals like myself, and therapists and psychiatrists and those in the field, and at that time, this was presented to them as the only way to guarantee that their child would survive. And it gave a way to kind of extract us up out of this chaotic world and this war on drugs, and provide us with this very bucolic, wholesome setting where they paraded us around using Catholicism as a weapon, as a marketing technique to show how reformed we could be. They used chorus to show what wonderful singers we were, what a cohesive group we were, and it was all for show. It was fake news, and we had no way to communicate to you about that. Our mail to you was censored, and much of it was redacted. Your mail to us, many times we didn't receive it, and if we did, you were already being groomed to tell us that you were unhappy and that you were not pleased with our progress. And while we were being held captive, we were being told we were unwanted by you, parents, and parents, you were being told that you were making the ultimate sacrifice by giving your children over to the experts who could do a better job than you. We are not this group of derelict, dangerous criminals, hardened criminals. We were children. And we were children that once had dreams and childhoods. We were children that once saw a future and saw our lives about to take off, struggling through puberty, struggling through identity, struggling through our sexual orientations, struggling through so much. And the family in itself was the biggest lie ever told. And I'm just talking just about one program. Our story is not isolated to just the family. This is a national and international crisis of the inhumane and unregulated treatment of children. But here's the thing. I, like many of you, have spent the last 20 years in different phases, some trying to forget about it, some trying to move on. I've gone through anger, I've gone through grief, I've gone through despair, I've gone through considering taking my own life, I've gone through motherhood, and I've gone through relationships that didn't turn out the way I had thought. The success they promised, I can assure you, for very few of us were we able to reap any of that reward. I stepped forward into the light because my best friend, the fifth chamber of my heart, made his decision to step back into the darkness. But in a way, I understand now how and why part of it, because the weight on his shoulders was so heavy, and I feel that same weight. I feel such a duty to heal and to carry on this message and to keep pushing. We have the world's attention right now, and the I See You Survivor campaign on Facebook is our new way to show the world that we are healing and that we are getting better, and we will honor the names on that list that we have lost, no matter what they had succumbed to. We were all in the same place. We came from the same pain. How our lives went, there's no reason, rhyme, or answer, but to this day, no staff have ever been criminally held responsible for crimes against children. The statute of limitations has run out for many of us. Very few fall into the category to take any kind of stance or power over what was done to us. I was wrapped in a blanket for 8 days with duct tape around my ankles and my waist and my shoulder, and I was placed on my stomach, and a staff member who is now deceased, she was feeding me like a dog, and that is how I ate. And that is wrong. The methodology that they used, they didn't just break us down, they burned us down. And this time, we are going to burn them down. And this isn't out of anger. Am I driven? Yeah. Am I a badass? You bet. Am I going to stop? No. I'm going to keep coming, and we are going to keep coming. And that rumbling that you may hear in the background, that rumbling in us that's stirring up now, and this rumbling and this kind of charging sound is us coming up over that hill, screaming at the top of our lungs, we are here. We existed. You may not have even known we were missing, but we have been found. And our power now lies in our healing and our coming together and our ability to almost stare our own death down in the face and say, you didn't take it all. We are here, and we will be heard, and we will heal, and we will do this together. I am so grateful for all of the support from the survivor community and their families. There have been many media outlets of all different kinds that want to hear what happened to us and what were the details behind the experience that we went through. I can only really talk to myself. I'm kind of an OG, I guess, if you will. I was there from 94 until 1997. Things were a little bit different then, but the game didn't change. Just the players got smarter and more money was being made. They turned our pain into a profitable business, which, as part of the Truth Campaign, as many of you now may know, I was part of. We took from them what we could, but they've never been held accountable. And we don't need a jury, a peer of 12, to make a decision as to what they did was right or wrong. We are their jury now. We are their handlers. We are the wardens. We are the new sheriffs in town. The tables have turned. Not just turned, but we flipped them over. And they had to open a paper and see the faces, and I wanted them to see my face, because my face is our face, and that tree is all of us. That tree holds the name of every single person who has left. And we're coming for everything that they had. And if you're watching this, and if you worked at the family, or if you work at a program, your time is so limited, you will not be able to continue this forever. We are coming, and we are coming for you. And we are coming to save children and to extract them from you, and we will succeed. It may have taken us 20-something years to reach this point, but it has been through the pain and destruction that you caused that drives us to be exactly where we are. I don't live for the glory. I don't care really that my picture is on the cover of the New York Times. I don't care if I go on television. I did that already. It didn't matter. It didn't do much. Okay, but what's happening now is that we are healing. And what Mike Wilson did was take a chance on a bunch of kids that no one wanted to touch. That we were just pieces of trash that the world viewed, that we were such trash that we weren't even worth being picked up. But because he gave us a platform, and because the New York Times gave us a platform to expose just a sliver of our experiences there, we have so much more to tell. And this video is an invitation not only to the parents and the families and survivors, but to the media or to anybody else that wants to help us finish the story and provide. We all are begging you to hear us. You've seen us, now you owe it to us to hear us. And we are going to tell everything that they did to us as children that have now grown up to adults. They may have forgotten our faces, but we have not forgotten theirs. They may have forgotten our voices, but I can still hear them screaming at me in my head. And it's going to end soon, because we are gaining strength as families. We are no longer suffering individually and silently. We are coming together and saying, oh no, this is not over yet. We're not done with you. There's more. And I'm encouraging anyone and everyone to start talking, not just about where we are, but where we've been and where we are going. They need to know what happened to us at the family. They need to know what happened to us afterwards. And they need to know where we are going to take this now. We are unstoppable. And there is no way that I could say that I am fully responsible. I appreciate everyone thanking me personally, but we should be thanking each other. I get up and do what I do every day, and I've dedicated my life to systematically and methodically destroying this industry until I take my last breath. That is what I will be doing. We are here because we existed as we've been found. It's almost like I picture us at sea in a lifeboat, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone says, oh my gosh, there they are, and the ships are coming in and they're coming to get us, and we're going to have a chance to tell our story and reunite with our families and friends on the shore. Find a way within yourself to not only forgive yourself, to to be kind to yourself. I want you to know that I see you and that you have worth and that the power now lies with us. They were idiots to think that they were going to groom and breed tough survivors that would stop at nothing. And here we are. We are simply, to the family, to Mike Argyros, to those who abused us, to anyone working in the industry, we are simply going to use the same tricks and tactics that you used on us. We are going to use back on you, but this time we don't have to work harder. We are smarter and we are stronger. And that is what I need to say. There's more coming. This article is just an appetizer to what is next. And I will most certainly lead us through this next phase of healing. And I cannot be individually thanked because without your stories or your support, I would not be able to come forward the way I have to say we are here and we exist and we are not going away. We are the survivors and they are the abusers. And those who have wronged us will be held accountable, and they don't need to be held accountable in court. We will help let the public decide. So I personally wanted to thank any and every single one of you. I've been trying to respond on text and calling. I'm probably going to lose my voice. I am desperately trying to thank everyone that is standing behind us and in front of us, but most importantly to the survivors that stand beside me. Without you, I have no drive. I have no purpose. I have no support. I lost John Martin Crawford. I lost my next best friend, Mike O'Donnell, a year later. My closest friends have gone, but I have gained so many friends and so many supporters that have been close to me during this journey. And even if you have been watching from afar, I want to know you too. I want to hear your story. I want to share and lean into your pain. This is who we are. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it 1,000 times, but I would like to say to the family, you wrapped the wrong bitch in that blanket, because I knew somehow, some way, I would come back for you, and I'm well on my way. So get ready, because it's coming, because we are here. We're not shadows cast in the dark. We were cast in the light, and we are finally seen and being validated, and our strength is coming from within us. None of our strength came from you. We were not successful in life. We didn't get this far because of you. We got this far in spite of you. And you need to know the difference. And you need to know that until I leave this earth, I will be coming for every single one of you. And that your days will be spent as unpredictable as mine. And as my friends and fellow survivors, you can no longer ignore what you've done, and I am going to tell the world what you did. And you are going to have to carry that with you for the rest of your life. That is my parting gift to you. And I applaud the families that are healing, and I applaud the survivors that are coming forward, and I applaud the comments, and I appreciate every single one of you, because you give me purpose to keep going. And I hope that you will join me on this, because the war has just begun. Thank you for listening. If you're interested, you can go on Facebook and look up the I See You Survivor campaign. The directions are there of how to make a video if you choose. And please keep sharing with me the stories behind the stories of parents and survivors connecting and reconnecting. And we got this, okay? We should all have the t-shirt, I survived the family, but the family will not survive those left behind. So thank you. I hope to hear from you, and I am overcome with gratitude, and I am humbled and grateful that you have allowed me to take this stance to try and lead us in the direction towards healing. And our best revenge will be living well. And each of us should carry with us a name of someone that we knew that is gone, because it is our duty to live for them and their families through our life and through our work. And I think we got this. We don't have to fake it till we make it, honey. We made it. And we are a force to be reckoned with. We are the tornado that has met the hurricane. So I hope everyone's ready, because the game has just begun.